Hi, this is Mike Regan with Translac's 2-Minute Warning for the week of September 18th. Do not get blindsided by the transportation tropical storm that is brewing offshore. I have a confession to make. Whenever I hear people use the words, the perfect storm, I am immediately skeptical about anything else that follows. Because what these people are really doing is using a phrase to describe a catastrophic event that they want you to pay attention to. Now, where am I headed with this? Well, in the last couple of weeks, in our 2-minute warnings, we have been talking about the impact that these hurricanes will have on supply chains. And last week, I published a blog where I talked about some of the immediate fallout. For example, we've seen a sudden surge in diesel prices, and that sudden surge will result in your freight costs going up by anywhere from 1.5% to 3%, based on what kind of fuel surcharge formulas you have in effect with your carriers. We're seeing increases in the spot market rates, anywhere from 25 to 30%. Now, some people are asking, are the carriers gouging shippers? Well, practically speaking, you've got a lot more demand than you have supply, and whenever you see that, the rates are going to go up. But one of the things that really got my attention was at last week's FTR conference, there was an article that was published, and it talked about the panel discussion they had, and Noel Perry and some others talked about the perfect storm that is headed for shippers. Imagine for a moment, this is like a tropical storm brewing in the waters, and it's going to hit your supply chain in transportation areas hard in 2018. Now, why is this perfect storm relevant for what we're seeing? Well, you've got a couple of factors going on. We've got the issue of the electronic logging devices, which will be in full force in effect in 2018. We've got the issue of the fact that we're going to see a bump in GDP growth just because of all the products that are being manufactured to rebuild the hurricane-ravaged areas. The third thing, though, that is also going to have an impact is the fact that you've got some infrastructure that's been compromised because of these hurricanes. For example, the Union Pacific and the BNSF have issues with their lines in Texas, and we are seeing already diversion of rail to truck freight. Add it all up, and folks, if you're not at least considering this, then you will get blindsided. And none of us want to see that happen. Now, if you have some concerns or questions, or you want to take advantage of our rapid assessment process, which includes some scenario planning capabilities that'll help you understand your options, simply give us a call or send us an email. Because with each and every 2-minute warning, we're here to remind you, we are on your team. We're here to help, and we're passionate about seeing you be successful. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching the 2-Minute Warning. This is a first time ever event for us. We have a postscript to a 2-minute warning, and the reason that we're doing that is because when we got done shooting, my associate said, Mike, we've got some really important information about electronic logging devices, and we need to get that in the hands of our 2-minute warning audience. So what I'd like to do is just take a couple of minutes here to help you understand the real impact that ELDs are going to have and how it could in fact result in the perfect storm that shippers will see in 2018. Now, to bring you up to speed, what has happened was all carriers are supposed to be ELD compliant by December 18th. Now, recently, the Department of Transportation announced that for carriers that are not ELD compliant, they will simply be getting fines starting December 18th, but they won't be put out of service, aka the trucks taken off the road, until April. Now, what we're also expecting to see in the ELD market is that as carriers have to renew their insurance, the insurance companies are going to mandate that they prove that they're ELD compliant. So the full fallout from the ELD issue will not be experienced until 2018. That said, the answer to the question, how will ELDs impact the marketplace? I encourage everyone to take a look at why the Owner-Operator Independent Driver Association, which represents thousands of small trucking companies throughout the United States, why have they fought this issue so hard? They fought it on the legal front, won it through a bunch of courts, taking it up to the Supreme Court, and they lost. Then they turned their eyes to Congress and asked Congress to pass legislation which would delay the rollout of ELDs until 2019. And they lost. But why has OIDA spent so much time and money fighting this issue? Well, it's my contention, and a contention that's shared by a lot of experts, is that the reason OIDA has fought it so hard is because they understand better than anybody else how this ELD issue is going to affect their members. And specifically, it could potentially reduce the revenue to their members in a significant way. Because as we all know, as you take logs and put them into effect, if you have a way of electronically verifying how long the truck is run, it directly attacks the number of hours that some trucks are on the road for trucking companies that are running their trucks beyond the current hours of service issues. And that's why at the FTR conference last week, they emphasized that it could see a 4 to 7% reduction in capacity when ELDs become mandatory across the board. Now, it's also important to note that the American Trucking Association, as hard as OIDA's been fighting to see this issue delayed, the American Trucking Association is on record in saying we need the ELDs for a couple of reasons. First, it will result in a safer environment. Second, it'll level the playing field. But one of the things that you need to recognize as you plan your transportation budgets in 2018 is that if you think you're going to see in 2018 what we've seen in 2017 or 2016, folks, you run the risk of getting blindsided. And no one wants to see that happen, which is why we talked about it in our 2-minute warning. But more importantly, here's what we want you to do. If you have questions or concerns about the potential financial impact of this perfect storm, will you please send me an email or give us a call. It's not going to cost you a dime, and we'd welcome the opportunity to put information in your hands that helps you more effectively manage your transportation costs, because at Transact, that is what we are all about, helping you do a great job in managing your transportation and supply chain areas. Thanks for your time.